Hello, this is Artificial Lawyer TV News. My name is Richard Tromans, and I'm talking to Johannes Stiehler, who is the CEO of Ayfie, the doc analysis company. Ayfie has taken the unusual step of listing shares publicly in Norway. Talking now to Johannes about why the company did this and what it means. Johannes?
Hi. Yeah, Ayfie recently got listed on a multilateral trading facility called the MCCOOL market, which is part of the Oslo Stock Exchange in a sense. And what comes attached with that is both the ability to freely trade our stock, essentially, between current shareholders and potentially new investors, and also a couple of regulations and obligations that we have now to report on our financial status, to report news that might influence the stock price, basically everything that you're used to from a stock exchange, but with a little less frequency. So we basically have half-yearly financial reports instead of quarterly, and so it's a little lightweight stock exchange, if you will. And for us, it's a way to test the waters with being publicly listed, obviously, without going through the entire burden of having these heavy regulations imposed on us. But it's also a good way for us to get some public exposure and also to build trust towards our current and future clients. Because, as you know, some of our business is in the OEM space. So people that basically incorporate Ayfie text analytics technology as part of their offering, they look at our technology and they like it and they're fine with that. But often people need some comfort, some level of to understand that a company will still be around next year and the year after. So this listing also provides an opportunity for those clients to familiarize themselves with our financial status, where the company is going, see the see news on where when we change direction. And I think all of that builds a level of trust that is really necessary to invest in a technology in the long term, as would be the case with an OEM partner.
Gotcha. So even though this is a public listing, because it's a multilateral platform, you're not actually raising new money. We shouldn't see this as an IPO that we traditionally think of, where you might raise millions of dollars. Effectively, shareholders who are already part of Ayfie, who own part of Ayfie, have the ability to sell their shares through this niche exchange to others who want them. So you're actually not making any new money as such.
Right. So through this listing, we are not making new money. We got a private placement done shortly before that to make sure we have operational capital through COVID-19 and all that. I mean, you know what the situation is, but it is an opportunity for our investors to trade stock. That is true. None of our larger investors will kind of do that this way. But it can also be a way to raise new money if that makes sense. So, for instance, for an acquisition or things like that, it provides an easier way or a more streamlined way to raise additional capital. But that's not what we're currently planning to do here.
Gotcha. And very, very roughly, how many shareholders does Ayfie currently have?
So our shareholders count in the hundreds, but the kind of 8% are owned by the top 20, I would say. And those are predominantly private investors or professional financial investors from Norway that have been with us for quite a while.
And I'm guessing, as the CEO, you are a shareholder as well.
That is correct.
And have you sold any of your shares?
No.
Okay, fantastic. And you were saying as well that just before the public listing, you've also raised $5 million in cash
Yes.
as well.
That is also correct. Yeah. So we raised as operational capital. There's no direct goal attached to that. But due to the situation that we are facing now, especially in the US, it did make sense to get some additional reserves to make sure that we don't get in any problems there.
And how many people are in Ayfie now? Because you've been going as a company since what, about 2009, and there's been a merger mixed in there as well, I understand.
Yeah.
So how big is the company now?
So Ayfie, as we now know, it has been created in 2016 through a merger of two other companies. So that's when the official history of Ayfie starts. And we're currently at around 60 employees.
And just last question on the listing. You mentioned earlier that the valuation, the market cap of the company is now around $25 million.
Yeah,
Okay, fantastic.
that is correct. So basically, that changes obviously with the stock price. So now that we are listed like that, there's trading going on, the market capitalization changes. But I would say it's around, currently it's at 25 million US. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So the other key news point here is that you had a change of management, and that you're increasing your focus on the legal sector. In fact, you yourself have become the new CEO. If you just briefly just talk us through that. So why the change, and how does that connect to the legal sector?
Right. So, I mean, obviously, this change is embedded in a larger strategic shift that is also led to the listing and all these other activities. And that shift is basically that after a couple of years where we basically sold enterprise search and text analytics to a relatively broad audience, and then focused more and more on the legal market, we are now kind of getting even more traction in that market. So we're going to focus exclusively on building technology and solutions that help us create an even stronger foothold there. So essentially what that is we had projects going on in healthcare that based on our text analytics capabilities. We had projects going on in the finance sector and in publishing. And we've actually intentionally wrapped those up and are really now focusing on providing the products that you know